Welcome, going to do a quick review of Yeastie Boys, Bigmouth, and it's a session IPA. Coming in at, I think it's 4.2% or 4.4 is it? Glasses on, 4.4%. Yeastie Boys, I like what they're trying to do. It's almost as if when I've had one of their beers, and I reckon they've probably done really good ones through their website and stuff that I haven't tried. And I only ever go for the dirt cheap ones that they put out. They do tend to have good quality ingredients in. Sometimes as if I haven't gone quite right. It's like all the bits are there, they just don't quite click for me. Or they haven't thus far. This one, from what I've had of theirs before, they're 2 or 3 beers, generally in the Lidl beer festival, but I've had one outside that as well. This one has poured nicer than any of the rest of them. I've got to give it that. That looks stunning. It's like a really light colour, almost like a white wine colour, but cloudy. You know, a bit more body to it than a white wine, but you do get white wines occasionally on the continent especially that are that colour. So it's cloudy, it's carbonated, it's holding like half a finger of head. It looks good. Smells good. With their beers that I've had before, they can smell a little bit cloyny, a little bit dank. And not in a good way. Some beers, they smell dank in a really good way. Especially the higher percentage efforts. This smells slightly dank in a good way. Like the mango-y tropical side of fruit. And hopefully there's going to be some citrus in this to kind of like counterbalance that. Let's get stuck in. It does look good. I hope it tastes as good as it looks and smells. Nothing wrong with the flavour. But the back end is almost like a soda water fizz kind of. I prefer a little bit more citrus than that. It hints at it. It's like it's like lemon water rather than lemon zest. You know when you have, or even like Jif lemon kind of flavour as opposed to the lemon zest. It's another one of them. It's another one of those. It's as I described their beers to begin with. It's all there. It is all there. For whatever reason, it's a 6 or a 7 out of 10 beer, but you know, there's promise there it could be 8 with a little bit more. They're producing these beers for Lidl's. I get that, and they're doing it cheap. And it's not a regular thing for them. Like the big supermarkets can tie in the likes of Vocation and that to produce volume of these beers, which are very, very good quality for what you get. And this should be as good as one of those. Because it's all there. And it's a bit of a disappointment that it isn't as good as one of those. However, I get why it isn't. They've had to cut a few corners. And in doing so, you know, if they were able to produce these at greater volume and increase the profit that they were making, you know, churn it out. Whereas at the moment now, clearly they've got to make a certain you know, number. You never mind percentage. They've got to make a certain number of these. The same as Vocation have to do with Tesco's. It's not about the percentage price point. As long as they've got the capacity to do it and the amount of ingredients, and they can churn it over fast and get out lots of it. This they can't quite, so they've got to just nip and tuck a little bit here and there. And it's a real shame, because the potential is there for it to be brilliant. More lemon at the back end as opposed to a diluted lemon. The lemon is there. It's just, if that went bump at the back end and cleared out what went on before, it'd be brilliant. What actually happens is, what went on before is a really nice, smooth, light, refreshing tasting with a hint of yeast. The yeast comes through. There's almost like a graininess as well, but it's very pleasant. And then you want that citrus edge just to go whoomph and cut it right out. And clean your palate again, which is what the best ones do with this type of ale. Sadly, this doesn't clean it off. It's it leaves you feeling a bit dusty. It leaves your mouth feeling dry, and it just feels like lovely, 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 and that's that punch there you want, and it just goes bump. It drops off a cliff. It's a 6 out of 10, 7 maybe. If I'd had a few more, this is my second beer of the weekend. I had another one before this, which wasn't that great either, but it wasn't as good. This one's better, and it was from the Lidl Beer Festival. The small beers that they've had out in there this time out haven't been great. The 440 cans that they've had there have been very good. So I'm wondering, maybe if they produce beers like this in low volume, then that's when they have to cut back on the ingredients, because they're only going to turn over a certain figure. They're not going to make enough profit. You know, they've got to make enough money to be able to pay people and do it again. And if they're not doing that, I get it. Shame. Because that amped up, and I bet they do an amped up version of that. I need to have a look. I bet they're amped up. If they're able to make that like that, actually, I need to go with one of their non-Lidl beers. And that's the whole point of the Lidl Beer Festival, is that these breweries, the likes of Yeastie Boys, should be using it to draw you in to the stuff that they're putting on their website. The problems can arise when these breweries go into the Lidl Beer Festival and then end up supplying Lidl. And unless they get it right first time, there's been some absolute howlers when they've done that. So, okay, it's not great. It's not 100%. I'll be kinder to it to finish off, because I've kind of figured out why it's doing what it's doing, and it actually is a good thing. So the beer, 6 out of 10. The effort that they're putting in to make you go and buy some more of their stuff, I'm going to give it an 8 or a 9, because I will go to their website and order from them on the strength of this, because I know the potential's there. And if that's the case, then it's worked. The Lidl Beer Festival has done its job. That's what it's there to do, along with give you some really good bargains. You can't have bargains all the time, no, especially not now, the cost of living. So breweries have to find innovative ways of hooking you in, and Yeastie Boys have done that with this beer for me. So yeah, it does deserve a lot more praise than I gave it like 5 minutes ago. And I know I'm rambling a bit, but you know, that's what this whole thing is all about. It's an exploration, and it's figuring out what good beer is, what great beer is. And you know, the reasons why something is good or great are not always the same in each case. You know, if another brewery where I'd had something really good by them and then they charged me £3 a tin for this, I wouldn't be happy necessarily, because, you know, you'd expect better for that price. However, what was it? £1.50, £1.40, something like that. For that price, excellent. So, you know, 7 out of 10. And overall, for the fact that I'm going to go back on their website, you know, the stuff they sell on their website, if I buy that and it's good, or it's an 8 or a 9 out of 10, then, you know, wonderful. Hope that made some kind of sense. You could have. Cheers.